I need you to sit down because I need my wife to stand up. I've been, I think Mark may have mentioned, I've been down in South Carolina where we're going to be heading next week for since Sunday evening. I haven't seen my wife in 5 days. So Emily, are you here? Can you stand up? Hi, Em. It's good to see you. Mark, I'm learning rather quickly that the South is a different place. I walked into the airport in Greenville, South Carolina yesterday evening. It was about 5:30. The sun was still up. And I go up to the ticket counter, and I'm talking to the lady about my flight from Greenville to Atlanta and then from Atlanta to South Bend. And she said, "Oh, Mr. Morgan." And right then, I knew we had a problem because only they refer to me as Mr. Morgan anymore. I knew we had a problem. She said, "There's a winter storm coming." And I looked out the window, and the sun was still up in the sky, and the clouds were just kind of billowing. And I said, "Ma'am, I'm from South Bend, Indiana. There's no winter storm coming. This should be business as usual." But apparently, something big was coming. And so my flight yesterday was canceled, and my luggage is still someplace in the United States. We have no idea where. Incidentally, a big winter storm did hit the South. I don't know if you heard about it. They got, I think it was about an inch and a half of snow last night. The South is a very different place, Mark. It was in January of 1998 that Emily and I came. We only had 2 kids at the time. We attended our very first service, our second week in the community. And we elected to go check out this place called Granger Community Church. At the time, we were holding services out in the atrium. And Emily and I were pretty excited. We had heard that this church had a band. Now, we had never attended a church with a band, so we thought that was worth checking out. What we didn't know is a lot of people show up to Granger Community Church, and so we got here what we thought was on time, and we checked in our kids, and the last seats in the place were in the very front row in the very corner of the auditorium. It was a difficult service to watch. We were kind of like this the whole time. But what we heard rocked our world. We heard the word of Jesus Christ taught in a compelling way, in a way that brought life application to our lives. And we got to witness the arts in a way that we had never seen in church before, and that began a journey for us. It was just us attending Granger Community Church, getting engaged in the ministry, getting involved in a small group, and taking steps in our faith here at the church. And let me tell you, that journey has completely changed our lives. About 6 or 7 months into that process, Tim, actually this is what happened. There was an advertisement in the bulletin for an office manager. And so I applied for the office manager job. That's how I became a pastor at Granger Community Church. I applied for the office manager job. And I started to talk with Mark and Tim about the possibility of joining the staff team. And believe it or not, my very first meeting with Mark Beeson, we went to a Bob Evans restaurant. Now, Mark, I'm praying that you've improved recruiting skills since then, because Bob Evans is really not a compelling place to convince someone to join your staff team. But in that conversation, they agreed to give me a chance, and what a chance it's been. And the first thing I want to say, Mark, is this opportunity that you've given me and Tim, I'm so grateful for it. It's been an incredible run. I'm grateful for the times that we've had to meet together privately with the team, the times that we've had to celebrate, the challenges that we face together. I've learned more in the last 8 years about leadership than I've had in any period of time in my life. You are a phenomenal leader. There's no question that God's hand is all over your ministry, and I'm so looking forward to what is in store for you next. So it's been a great journey, and part of that process, Mark and Tim have given me an opportunity to launch this ministry here at Granger. We call it wiredchurches.com, and part of that ministry, we're equipping and providing resources and training to churches all across the country. And I say that because I've seen churches all across the country. And I just want to let you know this evening, in these last few moments that I have here at Granger Community Church, to let you know that what you're experiencing, what God is doing here, it's very unusual. It's very unusual. This doesn't happen every day. This is not business as usual. I believe that God has uniquely positioned Granger Community Church not only to impact the lives of thousands of people across this community, but to impact lives of people in villages and communities across the world. And it's happening. You know you're a part of that, don't you? This church, I don't know if you realize it, but there are church leaders across the country, across the world, that are watching very closely the ministry that you're doing here. And it should be humbling, but I hope that's exciting for you to know that other people also recognize that God is doing a unique work in Granger, Indiana. And so I just wanted to leave you with that encouragement as I step off with my family to take this next step in our journey, that you have a next step in your journey as well. You may look outside, the sun may be up, you may be thinking this is business as usual, but I just wanted to let you know something big is coming. And so I want you to be prepared for that. It's about prayer, as Mark talked about this evening. It's about staying together as a family in Christ. It's about pursuing deeply the growth that God has for you by getting into His Word. It's by serving others besides yourself. It's by coming together and worshiping together. That's what God has you here for. And if you're faithful in that, God will continue to bless you. And I'm confident of that. Mark, thank you again for the chance I've had to serve beside you. I'm grateful. And thank you, church. It's been a great run. Thank you.
Good words, Tony. It's good words. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Emily, where'd she go? Wave at me. There she is. Thank you, Tony. Well, why don't you go ahead and have a seat, and band, why don't you come on up here, and let me, as the band is coming, let me just say that we need to love each other passionately. Emily, come down there and sit by your hubby. Slide down there, kids. There's an empty seat right there. There you go. Slide right down. Look at that. You kids ought to go to the South together. We need to love each other passionately, and yet hold each other loosely enough that we can trust God's leading in one another's lives. Is it possible to be sad but have no personal regret? Is that possible? I think it is. You know, there's a part of me, I'm just sad Emily's leaving. Taking those kids on Tony. I'm so sad. I mean, I'm not kidding you. And you have to smile or you just bust out weeping. There's a sad part of this. And what a tragedy it'd be if you guys could leave and nobody was sad. That'd be horrible. So there's a part of me I want to embrace the agonizing pain and sadness. Thank God for it, because it means there's something wonderful in our friendship and ministry together. And Sheila and I love you guys. And so there's a sadness to this. But when you're sad, it doesn't always mean that there's regret. What if we live in such a way that when we part, when we leave, or those that we love leave, we can be sad and we can grieve the loss. But we're not filled with regret, because while we had each other, we loved each other well. We were honest and true, served each other, laughed,